Have you ever met someone who seemed to carry the weight of the world with ease? Someone whose wisdom made you question everything you thought you knew about love, life, and relationships? Well, I did. And one question has stayed with me ever since. Is it more important to love or to be loved? In today's video, we're diving deep into that balance of giving and receiving love, the lessons we learn through pain, and the resilience we find in the most unexpected places. By the end, you'll discover why true strength lies in vulnerability and why every challenge we face has a hidden purpose. Watch until the end, because this could be the moment that reshapes how you view your own relationships and the power of love in your life. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I encourage you to click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. Your support means a lot, so if you find value in this video, please give it a thumbs up to help spread our message. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on today's topic. If you enjoy the content, please comment 1 below. If it doesn't resonate with you, leave a 0. Your feedback is crucial as it helps me create better videos that align with your interests. Now, let's get started. As I ventured across different continents, I crossed paths with many souls, but there was one person whose words still echo within me. He was a man, aged and wise, carrying with him an air of serenity that can only come from a life filled with experiences. I found myself compelled to ask him a question that had been tugging at my heart for some time. Is it more important to love or to be loved? The man's eyes softened with a deep understanding as he paused for a moment. Then, he smiled warmly and said, "Both are crucial, like two wings of a bird. Without one, the bird cannot soar. To love deeply and to be loved in return, that's the balance you need to truly fly." His words washed over me, and I felt a sense of peace settle within my chest. It was a truth I had known but never put into words. I often reflect on my imperfections. I'm far from perfect, full of flaws and contradictions, yet I've come to appreciate those rare souls who stay with me, knowing exactly who I am. It takes someone special to look beyond the surface, to see the messy, vulnerable parts of you, and still choose to stand by your side. I treasure these people deeply because in a world where everyone is quick to leave, their presence feels like a gift. Some wounds, if you don't tend to them, fester and become a part of who you are. They'll stick with you, molding the way you see the world unless you're brave enough to confront them. And that's why solitude, while often feared, has become something I hold dear. When you've truly embraced being alone, your standards for who you allow into your life change. You won't settle for less than what you deserve, because you've tasted the peace that comes from your own company. But there's another side to that independence. When you choose to stand apart, you often invite misunderstanding, even hostility. It's the price you pay for not conforming to what everyone else wants or expects of you. I've learned to accept this. It's not that I crave conflict, but I refuse to lose myself just to fit into the mold that others find comfortable. I believe there's a kind of strength in that, in holding on to who you are even when it's easier to be someone else. It wasn't luck that brought me here. It was something greater, God's guidance, His plan for me unfolding in ways I could never predict. When I look back at my life, I realize there were no accidents, just lessons. Regret, though, is a bitter companion. One of the hardest lessons I've learned is that good people won't always stay if you hurt them, even if you didn't mean to. And when they walk away, you're left with the hollow ache of knowing that no apology will bring them back. It's a punishment of sorts, the realization that some bridges, once burned, cannot be rebuilt. I've lost people because of my own actions, and it's a pain that lingers. That's why, recently, I've been making changes in my life. I'm letting go of people who no longer fit into the version of myself I'm becoming. If you don't hear from me, it's because I've chosen a different path, one that no longer includes you. It's not an act of malice, but of necessity. Sometimes, to grow, you have to shed parts of your past like old skin. Walking alone doesn't scare me anymore. In fact, I've found that when you set off on your own journey, the right people will find you. It's the way they treat you, the respect they show, that matters far more than any fleeting affection. I've also realized that trust, once broken, is rarely ever restored to what it once was. Apologies are important, yes, but they don't always heal the wounds left behind. Some scars run too deep for words to mend. And there is no heavier burden than knowing that you were the cause of someone else's pain, especially when that person once brought nothing but joy into your life. To see tears where there used to be laughter, to know that you were the reason those smiles faded, that's a sin that weighs on the soul. It's funny, but the older I get, the less tolerance I have for certain things. I've come to dislike being around drunk people when I'm sober, and I have an equal disdain for being the only one drunk in a room full of sober faces. It's not about the alcohol itself, but the disconnection, the lack of harmony in energies. It makes me feel more isolated than I ever do when I'm physically alone. In those moments when loneliness creeps in, I find myself looking up at the sky, at the sun standing alone in its vastness. The sun doesn't need company to shine. It stands there, a beacon of light and warmth, unaffected by its solitude. There's a quiet strength in that. And perhaps that's the kind of strength we should all strive for, a light that burns bright, even when no one is watching. Maturity isn't about age. It's about understanding. It's about learning from the moments that shaped you, the experiences that tested you, and the lessons that came with the bruises and the scars. It's about knowing that life isn't always fair, but continuing on regardless. It's about realizing that the most important love in your life is the love you give to yourself, because when you truly love yourself, everything else, every relationship, every experience, becomes richer, deeper, and more meaningful. This journey we're on, it's filled with both light and shadow, love and loss, but it's in those contrasts that we find our truest selves. I've learned that to live fully is to embrace all of it, the good, the bad, and the in-between, and to never stop growing. Life is a journey that takes us through a maze of emotions, experiences, and lessons that mold us into the person we are meant to become. One thing I've learned along the way is that true strength lies in vulnerability. It's easy to put up walls, to protect yourself from the possibility of pain, but it takes immense courage to let those walls down. Apologizing first, when you know you've done wrong, is one of the bravest things a person can do. It's not about admitting defeat. It's about acknowledging the humanity in you and the other person. In that moment, you're saying, I value this relationship enough to set aside my pride. And there's something beautiful in that. Forgiveness, too, is an act of strength. It's not about condoning the wrong or forgetting the hurt, but rather about freeing yourself from the chains of bitterness. Holding on to anger only weighs you down, while forgiveness allows you to breathe again. The strongest people are those who can release the weight of their pain, not for the sake of the other person, but for their own peace. And yet, it's forgetting, truly letting go of the past, that brings the most happiness. Not forgetting in the sense that you erase what happened, but in the sense that you no longer let it control you. The moment you stop reliving the past is the moment you begin to truly live. As we navigate this complex world, we often forget the true wonders that surround us every day. The ability to see, to take in the colors of a sunset or the smile of a loved one. How often do we take that for granted? Or the ability to hear, the laughter of a child, the sound of rain tapping against the window, or even just the soft melody of your favorite song. Then there's touch, something so simple yet so profound, a hug, a hand to hold, the comfort of a warm blanket. The ability to taste and savor life's moments, both literally and metaphorically. To feel emotions so deeply, joy, sorrow, love, heartbreak, all of it is what makes us human. And of course, to laugh, to let go of all your worries and just be in the moment, even for a second. And perhaps the greatest wonder of all is to love and to be loved, in all its forms, because love is what gives life its meaning. We live in a world that often pushes us to grow up too fast, to lose the childlike wonder that makes life magical. But I believe in finding a balance. Think with the wisdom and logic of an adult, sure. Life demands that we make decisions with care and foresight. But live with the heart and enthusiasm of someone young, someone who hasn't yet been jaded by the trials of life. There's something exhilarating about approaching each day with curiosity and openness, allowing yourself to feel alive in ways that adulthood sometimes tries to stifle. Offer advice like an elder, drawing from the lessons you've learned along the way, but never stop dreaming like a child. Hold on to that sense of possibility, that anything could happen if you just believe in it enough. When someone invites you into their world, into the deepest parts of who they are, never take that lightly. It's a sacred thing to be trusted with someone's heart, their secrets, their vulnerabilities. Too often, we rush in without thinking, leaving footprints on souls that are delicate. So take your time, be gentle, and never forget to metaphorically remove your shoes before stepping into someone's inner world. Those spaces are sacred, and we should treat them as such. I've come to realize that the mind is far more powerful than we give it credit for. Your thoughts shape your reality, and you become what you believe you are. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, that you'll never achieve what you want, then that will become your truth. But if you believe in yourself, in your abilities, in your worth, the world starts to open up for you. This doesn't mean you'll never face challenges. Life is full of them, but it does mean you'll face them with a sense of purpose and resilience. Never change who you are just to fit someone else's idea of who you should be. Authenticity is your greatest asset. The right people, the ones who are meant to be in your life, will love you for exactly who you are. And there's a kind of peace in knowing that you don't have to perform or pretend. You can just be. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Feeling cared for is one of the most profound experiences a person can have. It's a sensation that fills you with warmth, makes you feel seen, understood, and valued. In a world that can often feel indifferent, being cared for reminds us of our humanity, of the connections that make life worth living. It's a reminder that we are not alone, that someone out there is thinking of us, rooting for us, loving us. And that feeling, it's irreplaceable. We live in a society that often teaches us to retaliate, to give as good as we get, especially when someone treats us poorly. But I've come to understand that treating others with kindness, even when they don't deserve it, is a reflection of your own character, not theirs. Don't lower yourself to the level of those who harm you. Instead, rise above. Treat them not as they are, but as you are. In doing so, you maintain your dignity, your grace. Everyone gives what they have. If someone gives you pain or anger, it's because that's all they have inside. But you can choose to give love, understanding, and patience. And that makes all the difference. It's easy to get caught up in what's missing in our lives, in what we wish we had. But every once in a while, take a step back and realize that somewhere in the world, someone is dreaming of having the life you have right now. Whether it's the family you've built, the job you go to every day, or even the small freedoms you take for granted, someone out there is wishing for exactly what you have. Gratitude, I've found, is the key to happiness. It shifts your focus from what you lack to what you already possess. And when you start to live from a place of gratitude, you open your heart not only to appreciating what you have but to giving back. Within your means, however big or small, do what you can to help create a better world. Every act of kindness, every moment of generosity, ripples out farther than you can imagine. And who knows? You just might change someone's life in the process. Life is a series of moments, and while some may be more difficult than others, every single one is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become a better version of yourself. Embrace it all, the joy, the pain, the uncertainty, and know that, in the end, it's all part of the beautiful tapestry of your existence. There comes a moment in life when you look back and realize that every detour, every disappointment, every time something didn't work out the way you had hoped, it all led you to where you are now. And suddenly, the pain makes sense. It's as though the universe had a plan all along, even when you couldn't see it. Every failure was just a stepping stone, every heartbreak a lesson preparing you for something greater. That's how I feel about where life has brought me, to this exact moment, and to you. The journey was long, and it wasn't easy, but now I can finally be grateful for all the times it didn't work out because, in the end, it led me to something better than I ever imagined. Growing up, it's not the soft, gentle process I once thought it would be. It's hard, messy, and often filled with decisions that tear at your heart. There's no manual for it, no clear instructions on how to handle the tough choices life throws your way. You have to learn as you go, stumbling over obstacles and sometimes leaving behind people you thought would be by your side forever. It's a painful truth, but not everyone you love is meant to stay in your life. Some people, no matter how much they mean to you, don't contribute to the person you're becoming. And part of growing up is having the strength to let them go, to wish them well on their own journey while you continue on yours. It's not just people you leave behind, it's also the habits that once defined you, the plans you made years ago when you were someone else. Growing up means realizing that happiness doesn't always come from the things you once thought it would. You start to change, your priorities shift, and you understand that true happiness is often quieter than you imagined. It's not always in the big moments, but in the small, everyday decisions that lead you toward peace, toward a life that feels like your own. The hardest part of this journey is the persistence it requires. Life will challenge you again and again, throwing obstacles in your path just when you think you're about to make progress. But the secret is to keep going, no matter how many times you fall. Each time you get back up, you become a little stronger, a little braver. And eventually, something incredible happens. The fears that once paralyzed you begin to fear you. Your persistence becomes a force of its own, and the things that once seemed impossible suddenly don't feel so far out of reach. I've been asked why I'm so determined, why I fight so hard for what I want, even when the odds are against me. The answer is simple, because someone once told me I'd never achieve it. And nothing fuels my fire more than someone telling me I can't do something. It's not about proving them wrong, it's about proving to myself that I can. It's about standing in the face of doubt and saying, "Watch me." I've come to realize that having a good heart is not a weakness, even though the world sometimes makes it feel that way. Being kind, being open, and loving others, even when it doesn't seem to be reciprocated, is a strength that will carry you through the darkest times. Don't ever regret being someone who cares deeply. Goodness has a way of coming back to you, often when you least expect it. It multiplies, rippling out into the world in ways you may never see, but trust that it's happening. You may never know the impact your kindness has on someone's life, but that doesn't mean it's not there. Sometimes, the people who need the most love are the ones who don't know how to ask for it. When someone tells you they're okay, look a little deeper. That's often when they're struggling the most, when a simple gesture, a hug, a word of comfort, can make all the difference. We live in a world where vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness, but in reality, it's the bravest thing a person can do, to admit they're not okay and let someone in. I've also learned that weakness isn't what I once thought it was. Weak people aren't those who are vulnerable or unsure. They're the ones who feel the need to hurt others in order to feel powerful. They tear others down because they don't know how to build themselves up. It's sad, really, because they're trapped in a cycle of insecurity, unable to see that true strength comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down. It can be tempting to fight back, to give them a taste of their own medicine, but I've found that the best way to deal with such people is to rise above. Don't sink to their level. Instead, continue on your path, because you're closer to achieving your dreams than you realize. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. There's something to be said for persistence in love, too. I'll admit it, I love fiercely. I don't know how to do it halfway. When I care about someone, I care with everything I have, and I don't hold back. It's not always easy, and it's definitely not without risk. Loving someone fully means opening yourself up to the possibility of pain, but I've never regretted it. To love truly is to live fully, and I'd rather feel everything than numb myself to the possibility of heartache. At the end of the day, life is about the choices we make. Every decision, every action we take, shapes the course of our future. You can't expect life to hand you what you want on a silver platter. You have to work for it, fight for it. And the more you invest in yourself, in your dreams, in the people who matter to you, the more life will reward you in return. It's a simple principle, What you put into the world, you get back. So if you want love, give love. If you want success, put in the work. If you want peace, cultivate it within yourself. Life is a reflection of the energy you give to it. The more I think about it, the more I realize that life is a delicate balance between holding on and letting go. You hold on to your dreams, your values, the people who uplift you, but you let go of the things that no longer serve you, the doubts, the fears, the toxic relationships. And somewhere in between, you find your way. You find peace. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day struggles, to focus on what you don't have or what's not going right. But every now and then, take a step back and realize that there's someone, somewhere, dreaming of having the life you have right now. They'd give anything to trade places with you, to have the opportunities, the relationships, the freedom that you might take for granted. Gratitude is the key to contentment. It's not about having everything you want, but wanting everything you have. And when you live from a place of gratitude, you start to see the world differently. You stop focusing on the lack and start seeing the abundance around you. That's when life really begins to change. When you shift your focus from what's missing to what's already present, you begin to attract more of the good stuff. You start to notice the little miracles in everyday life, the moments of connection, the opportunities for growth. And as you become more grateful, you naturally become more generous. You start to give more of yourself to others, not because you expect anything in return, but because you've realized that life is about contribution. It's about making the world a little better, even in the smallest of ways. So keep going. Keep pushing forward, keep loving deeply, and keep believing in the life you're building. The journey may be long, and the road may be hard, but trust that every step you take is bringing you closer to the life you've always dreamed of. And when you get there, you'll realize that every struggle, every heartache, every moment of doubt was worth it. Because it shaped you into the person you are today, and that person is capable of more than you ever imagined. Life often presents us with challenges, not to defeat us, but to push us to rise above our limits and discover just how resilient we truly are. Every obstacle, every hurdle, is a call to action, urging us to dig deeper and summon strength we didn't know we had. Too often, people see challenges as roadblocks, but in truth, they are stepping stones towards something greater. They are there to teach us patience, perseverance, and the power of resilience. When faced with difficulty, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and tempted to give up. But what we must remember is that the real victory lies not in avoiding challenges, but in overcoming them. When you continue giving your best, even when the odds are against you, you open the door to growth and transformation. There is no reward without struggle, and the satisfaction of triumph comes only to those who dare to face their fears head-on. There's something profoundly beautiful about love, especially the kind that makes someone fear losing you. The kind of love that drives someone to tears because the thought of being without you is unbearable. That's not something you come across every day. It's the purest, most vulnerable form of love, where every emotion is laid bare, where there's no room for ego or pride, just an overwhelming desire to hold on to what matters most. Love like that isn't common, and when you find it, you must cherish it. It's the kind of love that reminds you of your worth, of the impact you have on someone's life. It's a connection that transcends words, an unspoken bond that says, "You matter more to me than anything else." If someone loves you so much that they cry at the thought of losing you, you've found something rare and precious. Protect it, nurture it, because that kind of love can change your life in ways you never imagined. Success is not just about individual effort. It's also about the company you keep. Surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, who push you to be your best self, is one of the smartest decisions you can make. Winners attract winners, and when you're surrounded by individuals who are driven, focused, and positive, their energy rubs off on you. They lift you up, challenge you to reach higher, and in time, you become a winner yourself. It's not just about competition, it's about support. Winners don't just want to succeed on their own, they want the people around them to succeed too. They understand that success is sweeter when shared, and that's why they build each other up. So, if you want to elevate your life, Surround yourself with those who are constantly striving for greatness. Their success will inspire you, and before long, you'll find yourself achieving things you once thought were out of reach. The people in my life may not physically live with me, but they live in my heart. They occupy a space within me that no one else can fill. They are my chosen family, the ones who have stood by me through thick and thin, who have seen me at my best and my worst, and who love me regardless. It's not about proximity, it's about the connection we share. These people, they are my strength, my support, my home. Even when we're miles apart, I carry them with me in everything I do. Their influence is woven into the fabric of my being, and I am who I am because of them. The people who live in your heart, those are the ones who truly matter. They don't need to be by your side every day to remind you of their love, because that love is always there, constant and unwavering. The soul is a fascinating thing, much like fire. Fire casts no shadow because it is a source of light. It doesn't block light, it creates it. And in the same way, our souls are sources of light. They don't rely on external validation or approval. They shine from within. The soul is a fire that burns with purpose, with passion, with authenticity. It illuminates the path before us, guiding us even in the darkest moments. When we tap into the power of our souls, we realize that we are capable of generating our own light, our own strength. We don't need to rely on others to light our way because that power already exists within us. Just as fire cannot block light, neither can the soul be dimmed by external forces. It shines, no matter what, and that is its greatest gift. As we grow older, we begin to understand the deeper layers of life, love, and health. After the age of 50, many people discover that maintaining an active, intimate life isn't just about physical connection. It's about emotional and mental well-being. Sex, at this stage, becomes a way to nurture not just the body, but the mind and the soul. It fosters a sense of closeness, of connection, that goes beyond the physical. It reminds us that we are still alive, still capable of passion, still vibrant. It enhances health, not just in the obvious ways, but in the subtle, unspoken ways that keep us feeling whole. The intimacy shared between two people becomes a refuge, a place of safety and comfort, where both partners can express themselves fully. It's about more than pleasure. It's about the connection that binds us together as human beings. I've often thought about how my story will unfold. Life is unpredictable, and no one knows what the future holds. But one thing I know for certain is this: my story will never end with the words, "I gave up." No matter how tough things get, no matter how many obstacles I face, giving up is not an option. I've worked too hard, fought too many battles, and come too far to quit now. There will be times when it feels like the weight of the world is too much to bear, but in those moments, I remind myself of why I started. I remind myself that every struggle has brought me closer to my dreams, and that quitting now would mean throwing all of that away. My story will be one of perseverance, of grit, of relentless determination. And when it's all said and done, I'll be proud of the person I became along the way. Pain is inevitable in life. There will be moments when it feels like the world is collapsing around you, when the weight of everything seems unbearable. But pain passes. It doesn't last forever. The sweat from your efforts will dry, the exhaustion from your struggles will fade, and the bruises will heal. But there is one thing that never disappears: the satisfaction of knowing that you gave it your all. When you look back on your life, you won't remember the pain or the exhaustion. You'll remember the feeling of accomplishment, the pride that comes from knowing that you didn't quit when things got hard. That feeling, that satisfaction, will stay with you for the rest of your life. It's the reward for pushing through, for persevering when others would have given up. When it comes to relationships, intimacy is often a reflection of the emotional connection between two people. If your partner is withholding physical affection, it's not just about the act itself. It's a signal that there may be deeper issues at play. Physical intimacy is important, but it's not the only component of a healthy relationship. Emotional communication, trust, and mutual respect are just as vital. Instead of focusing on what you're not receiving, Take a step back and ask yourself how you can strengthen the emotional bond between you. How can you create an environment of trust, where both partners feel safe to express their needs and desires? Sometimes, the distance in the bedroom is a reflection of emotional distance, and addressing the root cause can bring you closer in more ways than one. It's also important to recognize that your partner's reluctance may be influenced by factors beyond your control. Cultural or religious beliefs, past experiences, or even personal insecurities can all play a role in how someone views intimacy. Rather than approaching the situation with frustration or disappointment, approach it with understanding and compassion. Have an open, honest conversation about what's really going on. Listen without judgment, and express your own feelings in a way that invites dialogue rather than defensiveness. Relationships require constant effort, and intimacy is not just about physical connection. It's about creating a space where both partners feel valued, respected, and loved. If you are still watching this video, and find these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Ultimately, love is about balance. It's about finding a way to meet each other's needs without compromising your own values or identity. It's about understanding that relationships are not static. They evolve, just as we do. And when you approach love with patience, compassion, and a willingness to grow together, you create a foundation that can weather any storm. So, whether you're facing challenges in your relationship or in life, remember that it's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about the journey. And as long as you keep moving forward, no matter how slowly, you're on the right path. In any relationship, whether it's new or long established, the little things often make the biggest difference. And personal hygiene is one of those fundamental aspects that can have a profound impact on intimacy and emotional well-being. While it may not always be a comfortable subject to bring up, it's an essential one. Keeping up with personal hygiene isn't just about looking or smelling good. It's a way of showing respect for yourself and your partner. It creates an environment where both individuals feel more relaxed, appreciated, and confident, which naturally enhances the closeness between them. When we think of intimacy, we often focus solely on the emotional or physical aspects, but hygiene plays an understated role in ensuring that both partners feel comfortable and connected. Poor hygiene can create unspoken tension, discomfort, or even distance in a relationship. On the other hand, maintaining good bodily care can help foster a sense of trust, attraction, and affection, all of which contribute to a healthy, thriving partnership. If you find yourself needing to address hygiene in your relationship, remember that communication is the key. These conversations can be sensitive, but approaching them with compassion and understanding can make all the difference. It's important to frame the discussion in a way that emphasizes care and mutual respect, rather than criticism or judgment. Saying something like, "I want us both to feel as comfortable and connected as possible in our relationship, and I think paying attention to our hygiene can help with that," opens the door to a constructive conversation. This allows for an honest dialogue without making anyone feel attacked or insecure. At the end of the day, relationships are built on the pillars of communication, respect, and empathy. When you and your partner take the time to truly understand each other's needs, whether they are emotional, physical, or even practical like hygiene, you're building a foundation that can withstand life's challenges. The most fulfilling relationships are those where both individuals are willing to invest in the small details that make a big difference, and personal care is certainly one of those details. It's also important to recognize that hygiene, like many other aspects of a relationship, can be influenced by deeper issues such as stress, mental health, or even cultural beliefs. If a partner seems to be neglecting their personal care, it might not just be laziness or disregard. There could be underlying factors, such as anxiety, depression, or cultural norms that affect how they view hygiene. In these cases, it's essential to be understanding and patient. Engage in an open and honest dialogue to uncover any deeper reasons behind the behavior and work together to find solutions. A relationship thrives when both partners feel safe to express their concerns and work through challenges together. And while we're on the subject of physical intimacy, it's important to remember that it's about so much more than just physical connection. True intimacy encompasses emotional vulnerability, trust, and deep understanding of one another. If a partner feels hesitant or reluctant about engaging in physical intimacy, it might be a sign that something deeper needs attention, whether it's about their own comfort, insecurities, or issues within the relationship itself. It's vital to approach these moments with patience and curiosity rather than frustration. Asking open-ended questions like, "How can I make you feel more comfortable?" Or "Is there something that's been on your mind?" can pave the way for a heart-to-heart discussion that brings you closer emotionally. When we look beyond the surface of what might seem like simple physical needs or desires, we uncover a more complex web of emotional and psychological needs that also require nurturing. Intimacy in a relationship is deeply tied to trust, safety, and mutual understanding. Without these, physical connection can feel hollow or even burdensome. But when these foundations are strong, intimacy becomes a natural and fulfilling expression of love. Another factor to consider, especially in long-term relationships, is how personal beliefs, whether religious, cultural, or otherwise, shape each person's view of intimacy. For example, some cultures or religions might have specific norms or taboos regarding physical affection, especially around certain sexual practices. It's crucial to be aware of these beliefs and to respect them. Your partner's reluctance might not be personal. It could stem from deeply ingrained values or fears. In these cases, the best approach is to have a respectful, non-judgmental conversation where you both share your thoughts and find a balance that honors both of your beliefs and needs. A relationship grounded in mutual respect can navigate these differences with grace and understanding. Ultimately, a healthy, thriving relationship is not just about meeting physical needs. It's about nurturing the emotional, mental, and even spiritual connection between you and your partner. When these aspects are in harmony, everything else, physical closeness included, naturally falls into place. It's all about fostering a safe, loving space where both partners feel valued, respected, and understood. Now, as we wrap up this conversation, I want to extend an invitation to all of you, dear viewers. What are your thoughts on today's topic? Have you had similar experiences or insights that resonated with you? Maybe there's a specific moment in your life or relationship that reflects some of the ideas we discussed. I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Your feedback and stories help enrich this community, and I believe there's always something we can learn from each other. As we wrap up, I want to take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed. What have you learned so far? Is there one insight or lesson that truly resonated with you? I'd love to know. So comment below with one thing you've learned and how you plan to bring it into practice in your own life. Your thoughts and experiences can inspire others on their journey, just as we've shared here today. If you liked this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us continue to create meaningful content for this incredible community. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.